Welcome to the Art of Us podcast, where we bridge the gender divide series. Today, we're doing a deep dive based on material from Xavier Ezra Borrero.
That's right, a book that's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and ElevatePublishingCo.com.
The Art of Us, Bridging the Gender Divide. It's about understanding, communication, bridging gaps.
Absolutely. And if you're finding this discussion interesting, you really should check out the full book by Xavier Ezra Borrero. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and the ElevatePublishingCo.com website.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and ElevatePublishingCo.com.
So, welcome to this deep dive. We're jumping into some really fascinating source material today.
Absolutely. We're looking at the work of Xavier Ezra Borrero.
Specifically, his book, The Power of Us. And today we're really zeroing in on Chapter 4.
Yeah, Chapter 4, which has that great title, X plus Y equals synergy.
Exactly. And our mission, really, for this time together is to unpack what synergy actually means.
Going beyond the buzzword, right?
Way beyond that. Often tired corporate buzzword. We want to look at it as something, well, fundamental.
Potentially even divine.
And crucially, how this principle might be showing up in your life. Maybe unlocking power you didn't even realize was there.
Get ready for some, I think, pretty surprising insights.
Yeah, insights that could genuinely shift how you think about partnership and connection.
So, Chapter 4. What's immediately striking is how Borrero sets the stage. He doesn't kick off with, business models or teamwork drills.
Right, none of that.
He defines synergy right away, not as just a strategy, but as divine design.
That's a pretty bold claim right out of the gate. It positions synergy as, inherent to reality itself.
It really does. It elevates the concept immediately.
And the book even makes that statement, because God is synergy, which is, wow.
It's a powerful starting point. He uses the Trinity as an example to illustrate this.
Oh, so?
Not as, three separate beings, but described as one unified synergistic presence.
Oh, yeah.
The idea being that this principle of unified collaborative being is part of the very nature of the divine in this view.
Got it. So, connecting that to the bigger picture Borrero presents, it suggests creation itself wasn't an isolated thing.
Exactly. He points out it happened in collaboration, through interaction, through speaking.
Uh-huh.
And the powerful implication for us, then, according to this perspective, is that when we move in alignment with each other.
When we partner effectively.
Right. We aren't just being smart or efficient. We are, in a way, stepping into that fundamental design.
How things are meant to work at the deepest level.
Yeah, participating in a universal principle, sort of.
Okay, but what about someone who hears divine design and thinks, okay, this is purely spiritual stuff? Borrero bridges that, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. He's quick to say, hey, just look around you.
See it in the real world.
Everything that actually works, everything that sustains itself and grows effectively in the physical world, it's built on this same synergistic principle.
So he challenges you to just observe it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where do you see this outside a purely spiritual context? He gives some really concrete examples.
Like what?
Like the simple water molecule, H2O.
Right. Basic science.
2 hydrogen atoms, 1 oxygen atom, they combine.
Yeah.
But they don't just, add their properties together.
No, they create something totally new.
Totally new, essential, life-giving water, with properties vastly different from hydrogen or oxygen alone. That's synergy right there.
And he doesn't stop with molecules, does he?
No, he mentions the intricate structure of human DNA.
The double helix.
That double helix, yeah. 2 strands winding together, fundamentally different but perfectly aligned, containing the code of life itself.
Or even power couples.
Yeah, he brings that up too. Power couples throughout history, or even now, people whose combined impact was just far greater than the sum of their individual contributions.
So Borrero's point is, basically, you've seen this principle everywhere.
Everywhere. In the basic building blocks of the universe, in complex biology, in human efforts that actually shift culture or history.
You've seen this power of combined, aligned effort.
Maybe just without sticking the label synergy on it or recognizing it as this divine design in action.
Okay, but here's where Borrero points out a really common misunderstanding. Something he thinks trips people up when they try to create synergy.
Yes, this is crucial. People often think it means finding someone or something identical to them.
Right, the clone approach.
Yeah, it's a very common trap.
Yeah.
We look for people who think exactly like us, same background, same strengths, maybe even the same personality type.
Because it feels easier, right? More comfortable at first. You think, oh, we're so alike. This will be great.
It can seem smooth initially, but Borrero is really clear. He corrects this misconception forcefully.
He's adamant about it.
Real synergy is not about being identical. In fact, He kind of implies that the diversity, different strengths, perspectives, even weaknesses, when they're aligned, that's where the real power is.
It's all about being aligned.
Profoundly about being aligned. Think about different parts of a complex machine or different instruments in an orchestra.
Or players on a really good sports team.
Exactly. They aren't the same at all. But they're moving together on one accord, as he puts it, towards that shared goal or vision.
That alignment, that's the magic ingredient.
It really is the key.
Okay, so the distinction is vital. Don't look for your twin. Look for someone you can genuinely align with.
Yeah.
Where your differences actually complement each other.
Instead of clashing, yeah. And Borrero makes a pretty significant promise about what happens when you find that alignment.
He does. He states it pretty unequivocally. When true alignment happens,
You don't just get simple addition. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2.
you don't just get more.
You get multiplication. That's the radical difference he keeps emphasizing.
It's like 1 + 1 unlocks something exponentially greater.
Exactly.
Okay, let's really dig into that multiplication effect because, honestly, it goes against our usual math brain.
It does. And Borrero uses a classic example to make it tangible, the story about the horses pulling.
Ah, yes. Simple, physical, but it illustrates the point so well.
Right. Imagine you have 2 horses. One horse, working alone, can pull, let's say, 700 pounds.
Okay.
The other horse, maybe a bit stronger, pulls 800 pounds on its own.
Makes sense.
Now, if you just hook them up together, side by side, no coordination, no training, what would you expect them to pull combined?
Well, simple math, right? 700 plus 800,
Yeah.
that's 1,500 pounds. You just add up what they can do individually,
Exactly. That's addition. That's just combining strengths.
but that's not what happens with synergy.
Not at all. Borrero cites studies, observations, showing that when those same 2 horses are united, aligned through training, working in sync, pulling together with that shared rhythm and intention.
They pull way more.
Significantly more. Not just the 1,500 pounds. They can pull over 3,000 pounds.
Wow. Over 3,000 pounds. From 2 horses that individually add up to only 1,500.
Yeah.
That's more than double. That is synergy in motion. That's the multiplication effect Borrero's talking about.
It's not just combining the strength that's already there. It's unlocking a whole new level of power through that alignment.
And Borrero doesn't just leave it as a nice story about horses, right?
Yeah.
He connects it back.
He connects it directly back to that spiritual parallel he mentioned earlier. He references the idea from Scripture.
The when 2 or more come together in agreement.
Yeah, on one accord, heaven moves. That concept.
So, just like the horses, it's not enough to just be together. It's the on one accord, the agreement, the deep alignment.
That's what activates this multiplied power, this divine momentum he talks about.
He contrasts one prayer with 2 aligned prayers too,
He does. He affirms, look, one prayer is powerful on its own. Absolutely.
but 2 aligned prayers.
He describes that as generating divine momentum. It's not just twice as good.
Wow.
It's more.
It's the same synergistic principle again. Alignment leads to multiplication, forward movement, outcomes way beyond what individual effort or even just unaligned group effort could manage.
It's a huge distinction, isn't it?
It really is. It shifts the focus from just sheer effort or even just gathering numbers to the quality of the connection, the level of alignment.
And if that kind of multiplication exists in something like prayer, Borrero pushes you to think, well, what does that look like in our actual real-life partnerships?
This is where Chapter 4 gets really personal, really practical. He asks you to think about this principle in your most important relationships.
Your marriage, your closest friendships, the teams you're on at work or in your community.
Any collaborative projects you're involved in.
And he highlights that in these truly synergistic partnerships, the connection isn't just, emotionally nice or supportive, though that's valuable, of course.
It's also incredibly effective.
Yes. These are the relationships where things actually get done, where you see significant progress, where big challenges get overcome with sometimes surprising ease.
So according to Borrero's view, this is where relationships stop feeling like they just drain your energy or add to your load.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the alignment, because of the synergy, they start actively multiplying your efforts. They accelerate your progress, amplify your outcomes.
They become sources of power, not just drains on it.
Yeah. But, and this is a really important warning he gives,
Okay.
not every connection that feels good is actually synergy. He makes a key distinction here. It's easy to miss when you're caught up in the feeling.
What's the distinction?
It's the difference between chemistry and synergy.
Ah, okay. Chemistry versus synergy.
We've all felt chemistry, right? That immediate spark, that exciting click, that rush of energy when you meet someone new or start a new project.
Chemistry feels great. It's
Yep.
awesome for getting things started. Creates that initial excitement, that momentum.
Absolutely, it creates the spark. But Borrero argues that chemistry often fades.
Right. It's energy, but maybe not sustainable power.
Precisely. Synergy, on the other hand, that's what sustains something valuable, effective, and lasting over the long haul.
So chemistry might get you excited to partner up.
But synergy is what lets you actually build something enduring and impactful together.
That leads to a really potent, maybe even slightly uncomfortable question Borrero puts out there.
Yeah, a reflective question for yourself right now. Where am I still chasing sparks instead of building alignment?
Oof. That makes you pause.
It forces you to honestly look at your key connections. Are you prioritizing that initial buzz, that exciting chemistry?
Over the, let's be honest, sometimes harder work of actually cultivating true alignment.
Yeah, that shared vision, that shared purpose, that deep intention that leads to the long-term multiplication.
Okay, so reflecting on this whole idea from chapter 4, X plus Y equals synergy, it's clear Borrero is talking about something much deeper than just basic math or teamwork slogans.
Way deeper. It's not just adding what people bring to the table. It's tapping into this principle of multiplication.
That gets activated only when there's genuine alignment.
Yeah.
It's something more, something really powerful.
And this leads right into another probing question he wants you to ask yourself.
Which is,
Where am I overworking, overstretching, overdoing when God's design was never for me to move alone?
wow, that directly challenges that whole hustle culture, grind it out solo mentality that's so common.
Totally. Borrero's suggesting, look, maybe the reason you feel stuck or like you're constantly swimming upstream,
Or just exhausted spiritually, emotionally, physically.
maybe it isn't because you're doing something wrong in terms of your effort or your strategy.
But maybe.
But maybe, just maybe, according to this perspective, it's because you're trying to carry something, achieve something that was never designed for one person to handle alone.
Borrero is pretty blunt about it.
He is. You weren't made to carry it all solo. You were designed to multiply.
And multiplication, by definition, requires partnership. Synergistic partnership. Alignment.
Yeah.
So if this whole idea is resonating with you listening right now, if you're feeling that nudge to understand this principle of powerful multiplying partnerships more deeply,
Seeing how it could actually apply in your own life, your own goals.
we really genuinely encourage you dive into the source material yourself.
Yeah, to explore this concept further, to really get the mechanics Borrero lays out for how X plus U can equal so much more, how it unlocks the power of us. Definitely check out Chapter 4.
Chapter 4, X plus Y equals synergy, in Xavier Ezra Borrero's book, The Power of Us.
It really provides a framework for recognizing this kind of partnership and maybe cultivating it too.
And it's worth saying again, right?
Yeah.
As Borrero presents it, seeking synergy doesn't mean you lose yourself.
Absolutely not. The book is clear on that. It's not about becoming some indistinguishable blob or finding your exact duplicate.
That's falling back into the identical trap.
Exactly. Instead, it means recognizing and, importantly, leveraging your unique strengths and differences with someone else's unique strengths and differences.
So you combine those distinct capabilities.
But aligned, not in being the same, but aligned in that shared, powerful purpose and vision.
And the result, Borrero argues, is creating something significantly bigger, measurably more impactful, more sustainable.
On anything you could possibly do on your own. It's like those horses again.
The 700-pound horse finds its 800-pound partner, they train, they align.
And bam! Suddenly they can pull over 3,000 pounds. That potential, Borrero says, exists in human partnerships too.
So the encouragement from the book is, take a moment.
Yeah. Take a breath. Look honestly at your connections, your partnerships, personal, professional, spiritual.
Check your circle, as they say.
Revisit your most important partnerships through this specific lens, alignment and potential multiplication.
And maybe ask yourself that really powerful reframing question Borrero suggests.
What if the next level isn't about doing more, but partnering better?
That's a game changer, potentially.
That simple shift in perspective could fundamentally change how you approach everything: challenges, goals, relationships.
Moving from that mindset of individual burden and just adding things up
To one of collaborative possibility and exponential multiplication.
Because when the right people, maybe even just two people come together, aligned, truly aligned,
Not just on the surface, but deeply. In vision, purpose, intention.
the impact, as Borrero describes it, goes way beyond just them or their project.
It doesn't just change their lives or their outcomes. According to the power of us, it creates ripples. It changes everything around them.
That's the profound, effective reality he calls the power of us.
Yeah.
So wrapping this up, what does this deep dive into Borrero's chapter X plus Y equals synergy mean for you right now? Well, it means understanding synergy isn't just corporate jargon.
No, it's presented as a fundamental principle, multiplication unlocked through alignment.
And it applies everywhere, spiritual life, personal life, professional life, anywhere meaningful connection happens.
The core takeaway is really recognizing the immense, maybe untapped power available when you focus on building effective, aligned partnerships.
Instead of trying to muscle through everything alone, or maybe worse, settling for connections that just give you those temporary starks.
Instead of sustainable, multiplying effectiveness?
Yeah. So the provocative thought we want to leave you with, drawn straight from this chapter, is this.
How might actively seeking, nurturing, and really prioritizing aligned partnerships in the key areas of your life unlock potential and create outcomes you didn't even know were possible?
What if the key to your next breakthrough or overcoming that big challenge isn't about more individual effort?
But simply better, more deeply aligned connection.
To explore this whole incredible concept further, to really grasp the principles and mechanics of how X plus Y equals synergy translates into real-world multiplication and helps you step into the power of us.
Definitely check out Chapter 4 of.
It really does offer a different, potentially transformative lens for viewing your relationships and your own potential. A massive thank you, obviously, to Xavier Ezra Borrero for these incredible insights presented in The Art of Us, Bridging the Gender Divide. And again, you can find his book, explore all of this much more deeply. It's by Xavier Ezra Borrero, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Go pick up The Art of Us, Bridging the Gender Divide, and continue this exploration for yourself. In a world that often feels divided, let's keep building a community grounded in unity and understanding, and try to lead by example. And a thank you all for listening to The Art of Us, Bridging the Gender Divide. Until next time.